Do you ever find yourself wanting more of the backstory, more information? If only you could have had an interview with the chief character in a story. Often I feel that way when I'm reading the scriptures. I'd love to have sat down with Pontius Pilate or Barabbas or Peter or Mary and chatted to them and asked them what really went on and how did they really feel. And I've taken the opportunity to write a series of poems and stories around the back of these narratives, not to add to them because they don't need adding to, but maybe to tease out psychological or emotional aspects of the story that perhaps we miss if we read too glibly. So if these poems, these stories that I'm going to share with you help you, fine. If you don't like them, you don't enjoy them, that's fine. You don't have to watch them. You don't have to listen. But bless you all the same. Two pieces here on this particular little vlog. And they're both to do with Pontius Pilate. One is a poem that I wrote a number of years ago on Easter Saturday in 2009. And we join the story where Pilate is facing the crowds and deciding the fate of the Lord Jesus. And it's called Why? The whipped up crowd cries, "Crucify!" Why? Crucify! The Roman prefect tries to stem the hounds, the baying, saying, "Why? What crime? I do not find him guilty. I still crucify," is all their cry. "We'll have him flogged. Your inexplicable, despicable displeasure duly logged. I crucify," they louder cry. "Do hereby wash my hands. I crucify your king. Let him be led away to die. But tell me, truthfully now, tell me, why?" Pilate is a strange character, a mixture of strength and weakness. I don't think he really understood what was going on. He was caught up in a larger plot and he failed the Lord Jesus. And I believe he failed himself too. And so I've written a piece entitled An Audience with Pontius Pilate. This time it's not a poem, it's a piece of prose. It's part of a series I call Shards from the Pot. You may remember there was a time years ago when a book came out and characters from the Bible were sort of interviewed and discussed what had gone on. Well, this is a similar idea. Shards from the Pot, an audience with Pontius Pilate, and we're hearing him. He's speaking a long time after, and he's not happy. Excuse me. You will excuse me. You find me dry washing my hands. Water gathers still on the surface. It must be the oil, too much oil in the pores. It comes and it goes. But enough of me. You came to question me about that fellow they called King of the Jews and then declared that they had never called him King of the Jews, that it was all his own idea to set himself up in opposition to Caesar, the king of truth, of tomfoolery, a puppet king. But who was pulling the strings, I could not say. It was not evident to the eye. It was not evident to me. What's that you say? Who was yanking on my strings? Whose tune was I dancing to? There was a time when I could have had you flogged for such a suggestion. Well, not now. Not anymore. They stripped me of my dignity. Me, a Roman prefect, who'd whipped me like a cur. Me, a Roman citizen. It flipped me over the edge into the Tiber. Down, down, drown, Pontius. But enough of me. He was a singular fellow, the most singular in my experience. His mien betrayed no self-pity or longing to avoid his fate, to slide past the inevitable, to slip away quietly. He embraced it and seemed, in retrospect, much more concerned for me who held his fate in his hands. It was sliding through my fingers all the time, like oil on water, or rather like water on oil. Excuse me. You will excuse me. You find me dry washing my hands. It must be the oil, the water. But enough of me.